Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. We've been through so much this month, haven't we? So much episodes, so many discussions. But now it is time to close the book. Because this, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the second season of My Hero Academia. And you know what that means? That means that this is the conclusion of Academia April 2. This is the final episode review for April of 2025. And we won't talk about this show again until 2026. So, let's go out on the biggest note that we can possibly go out on and discuss this episode together. Because this is where it all ends. This is where it all ends. So, yep, we are here. It is time for the final episode review of not only this arc, but of the entire second season of My Hero Academia. It's been quite a journey to get here, but here we are. So, without any further ado or delay, let's finish this together. What's up? What's happening? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Animation Station, your number one station for anything and everything animation, including pro heroes fighting for the fate of the world, as well as TV and movies. I'm your host, Jackson Small. Welcome to our finale for our second Academia April Marathon with Season 2, Episode 25, aka Episode 38, titled Encounter, the epilogue of the final exams arc and the final episode of Season 2 of My Hero Academia. This episode starts out like filler, because you have everyone discussing how they, went through their exams and everything and decide to go shopping. So you're thinking it's going to be a filler episode. But no, this episode takes a very dark turn, because this is the episode where Deku ends up separated from his classmates in the mall and is taken hostage by Shigaraki. And the two of them together discuss Hero Killer Stain, and Shigaraki finds his conviction that gives him what he needs to not only be a competent villain, but also to achieve his ultimate goal, to kill All Might. So, a lot happens in this episode, and we're going to talk about it. So, since this is the finale, we will go through the entire summary together. I know I just did it for last episode, but that was a special occasion because that was one of my favorites of the season. Whereas this one, it's the finale. We gotta make it big. We gotta make it big and eventful to end this second marathon off with a huge bang. Because again, not talking about the show again until 2026. Aside from maybe My Hero Ultra Rumble. I might do more videos on that sometime. Anywho, with all that said, here we go. Shigaraki demands Kurogiri to remove the new recruits from their hideout because one is a rude guy and the other is a bratty young girl. Kurogiri pleads for him to reconsider because Girin, what was his last name again? Okuda, thank you. Sorry, I'm still remembering names. Okuda brought them there to become members of the League of Villains. Okuda says he doesn't care what happens as long as he gets his commission and asks that he at least introduce the recruits first. First, he introduces the young girl as a rogue criminal on the run from people investigating several deaths where the victim bled out to death. Already telling you that Toga's whole thing is blood. She says her name is Toga and that she wishes to join the League of Villains to become just like Hero Killer Stain. Then Okuda says that the man hasn't done any flashy crimes, but holds true to Stain's ideology. Dabi, who admits he feels uneasy about the group's motivations and questions whether they'd really let someone as crazy as Toga into their party. Shigaraki asks the man for his name, but he simply tells Shigaraki that he goes by Dabi, and will only reveal his true name when the time is right. AKA, you're gonna have to wait until Season 7. Dabi goes on to say that he will follow the hero killer's will, annoying Shigaraki. Shigaraki complains that everyone's so hung up on Stain and attacks the new recruits. They retaliate in self-defense, but Kurogiri uses his quirk to stop all of them from killing each other. Kurogiri then tells Shigaraki to go calm down because the League of Villains needs new recruits, and it's best to do so now because Stain has put them in the spotlight. Angry, Shigaraki storms out of the hideout. Okuda says he's too young, and his recruits add their complaints about him as well. Kurogiri says that they wait for an answer at a later date because he believes, thanks to All Might and the Hero Killer, Shigaraki will find his own answers soon. Up to this point, he's just been a bit of an inexperienced disciple. Like, he acts like an evil villain, but in reality, he is a spoiled child that doesn't know what he's doing. So, Kurogiri sends Shigaraki out before he kills his new recruits so that he can go find his conviction and find his purpose. Meanwhile, at UA High's Class 1A homeroom, those who believe they failed the practical exams of the finals, they won't be able to go to the training camp during summer vacation. Yes, this was mentioned in another episode, and I forgot to talk about it. Right before the exams, they talked about how they're going to a summer camp to do even more training with some more heroes, which is what leads to the kidnapping arc in Season 3. Which is why I didn't really mention it up until now, because up to this point it's just been a background detail. Aizawa enters the room and reveals that everyone will be going regardless of their results in the final exams. He admits that the teachers left the students an open window for them to win, and that all the students must go to training camp to get stronger. He calls it rational deception, upsetting many of the students who feel like they were tricked. Once again, flashbacking all the way back to Season 1, where Aizawa said that those that didn't pass these physicals were going to get expelled from the entire class. But it turned out he was just doing it as a trick little ruse to make them try their best. After class, the students look over the training camp brochure, and many of them decide that they need to buy more things to bring with them for the week-long trip. Hagakure, right? That's who Toro is? Yeah, Hagakure. Hagakure suggests they all go to the mall together to shop, which the class agrees to other than Todoroki and Bakugo, because of course. Later on, Class 1A meets up at the Kiyashi Ward shopping mall and finds themselves almost immediately recognized from the UA Sports Festival. They agree to separate and meet back in 3 hours, leaving only Midoriya and Ochako behind. Ochako becomes flustered after thinking about Ioma's words from their finals and runs off, embarrassed. Because he literally called her out for liking him. Now by himself, Midoriya is approached by who he believes to be another fan from the sports festival. But after exchanging a few words, Midoriya looks up and realizes he has been confronted by none other than Shigaraki. And this is where the entire episode takes a spin, because we got one part in the beginning with the League of Villains and Shigaraki walking off, right? But I was not expecting it on first watch to actually follow up on that right in the same episode. But they did. They turned what could have been a throwaway filler episode into something genuinely terrifying that sets up Season 3 quite well. So, here we go. There's a lot to talk about with this, so let's talk about it. Shigaraki came to the mall looking for answers to the difference between him and Stain. He sits with his hand pressed around Midoriya's neck and threatens to kill him and many innocents if he resists. Shigaraki tells Midoriya he's irritated that the hero killer has received all the attention that he desires for himself. Shigaraki states that Stain destroyed what he didn't like, just as he has, and asks Midoriya what's the difference between him and Stain. Meanwhile, Ochako mulls over her poor decision to run from Midoriya, and she convinces herself that there's nothing romantic between them and decides to go back and apologize. There's totally something romantic going on between them. The show just keeps it very vague. Midoriya admits that he doesn't agree with or understand Shigaraki. Although he didn't agree with Stain, he still understood the hero killer because they were both inspired by All Might. He also says that Stain never backed down from his conviction like Shigaraki did at the USJ. Shigaraki replies with a haunting smile and says that he believes he's made the connection between his hatred for Midoriya and Stain. He believes he hates them both because of their connection with All Might and becomes excited. He tightens his grip around Midoriya's neck while thanking him for opening his eyes. In other words, he has found his conviction, and that conviction is to kill All Might by any means necessary. That's when Ochako arrives and tells the man unknown to her to release Midoriya. But Midoriya yells for Ochako to get back. Shigaraki, not wanting to cause too much of a commotion, now that he has reached what he set out to do, pretends to be a fan and prepares to leave. But Midoriya exposes his identity right away to Ochako. Midoriya then asks Shigaraki what All for One's plan is, but Shigaraki replies that he himself doesn't know and just proceeds to leave. As he walks back towards the hideout, Shigaraki decides that crushing All Might in connection with Stain's ideology will now become his conviction. Ochako reports the incident and the mall is temporarily closed. Heroes and police are unable to find Shigaraki, and Midoriya is brought to the station for a statement on the conflict by Detective Tsukauchi, the guy voiced by Alejandro Saab. Izuku tells the detective about the incident and then gets dismissed. Outside the station, All Might checks up on Midoriya. His protege asks him if there are times when the number one hero can't save everyone, to which All Might replies that there are times like that every single day. He goes on to say that gives him more reason to stand and smile so that the light of the symbol of peace can remain lit in everyone's hearts. Then, Midoriya's mother, Inko, arrives to take Izuku home, and All Might discusses the possibility of UA students being targeted with the detective as the end credits play over it. They both agree that this time they're going to capture and stop All for One for good. UA High's first semester comes to a close and summer vacation begins. At the same time, All for One tells his doctor that he's happy with Shigaraki's development. All for One plans to groom Shigaraki to replace him in the future, giving that contrast to All Might grooming his own protege, Izuku Deku Midoriya. And that is the end of the season. In other words, it built off the foundation of everything that Season 1 did, and also added a lot more darkness, added a lot more blood, and added a lot more storytelling, lore, and all the stuff you expect from a second season of a show. So, yeah, it's a pretty amazing second season overall, honestly. Like, is it better than Season 1? That's tough to say, because this one did have one big problem all throughout its run, and that was its pacing. Most of the time, the episodes either flew by moments too fast, or they didn't give them enough time to fully develop. But aside from that, you still have great voice acting, you still have amazing animation, you still have fantastic storytelling, you still have great action, you still have amazing music, you still have everything that made the first season of MHA excellent. With the exception of this having a pacing problem because it has more episodes to work with, which is probably only going to become an even bigger problem as we get to seasons 3 and 4, because they are long. Those seasons are very, very long. So, yeah, we're done with season 2 of MHA. So all I have to do now is give a final overall thought on this episode, and then it's sayonara until 2026. To the show, not to me, obviously. And if you're wondering why I'm doing this now, it's because I am on another trip starting tomorrow. So I want to get this done now so I can spend that day to pack and, prepare for another adventure in real life. Okay, here we go. Our final episode review for My Hero Academia for 2025. Let's go. A cute filler episode acting as an epilogue for the final exams arc, with Class 1A going shopping. That suddenly shifts into a bone-chilling and psychotic delve into evil halfway through to set up the very dark tone shift that's coming in Season 3 to shockingly great effect. Shigaraki's rant to Deku himself literally being a finger away from death, Ochako saving him before he's strangled, and the League of Villains beginning to take shape as Toga and Dabi join the ranks. Sure, pacing-wise, it could be a little better as it does start out slow, but the second that Shigaraki pulls Deku aside, it immediately fixes whatever pacing problems it had up to that point. This is a terrifying and genuinely horrific way to end Season 2 and set the stage for Season 3, to leave the audience on their edge and unnerved. And is overall yet another great episode. Final verdict for Encounter, the final episode of Season 2 of My Hero Academia, is an 8 out of 10. Check it out if you haven't watched it yet. It's excellent. And that is a wrap for now. Thank you all so much for checking out these reviews for yet another year. Seriously, thank you guys for watching all these reviews. I've been having an amazing time reviewing this show for you guys, and even if it's not my highest rated content like SpongeBob or Sonic, I still really enjoyed talking to you guys about this show. Because this show, to me, is a really, really fun time. I've had a great time talking about it for 2 years, and I only hope to keep doing it more and more as more episodes and seasons come out. So, yeah, we are now down 2 episodes and 38 total episodes of 2 seasons of this anime. But we've barely even scratched the surface, because there is still a whopping 6 more seasons to talk about with this show, with the last one premiering this year, or at least the Japanese version. The dub will probably come out in 2026. And obviously you're going to wait until I actually get to that to talk about it. But as I said in a previous episode review, after we're done Attack on Titan in 2027, I believe, because Attack on Titan's only 4 seasons, we will be able to start doing 2 seasons of MHA per year, starting in 2027. So, yep. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for watching all these reviews, and I hope you have been enjoying hearing me talk about My Hero Academia, and feel free to leave your thoughts and opinions on these reviews or the show overall in the comments down below. And I'll see you guys next time when we get into the darkest and longest season yet of the show up to this point, with My Hero Academia Season 3 in 2026. So, until then, thanks for watching, and remember, say it again from the depths of your heart, Plus Ultra!